So we've got some very interesting drivers. We've also got some new additions for the IAME, because the O plate is one of two specific plates that the BKC hosts every single year. We are going to Northern Ireland in the last weekend of July to decide the GP plate champion, which Riley Cranham won last year. Last year's Bambino IAME O plate champion was Joseph Katsantonis, who's now gone elsewhere. So there's going to be a new name on the trophy in 2018. I cannot wait to see who we have in there. And we've got the Irish champion, young Mr. Buckley, there with the IRL plate on. Behind him we've got, looks to be George Davison, I believe. No, that looks like to be Henry Domain in the number 45. This kid is one to watch. George Davison, another one to watch as well. So you're going to find that you're going to have some of these children that are maybe 7 or 8 years of age, but the biggest thing is the racecraft they have demonstrated to me in the first 2 rounds of this championship. And it's going to be a very tall order for all these young drivers. So the grid is about to be released in about 30 seconds' time, with number 29 being called for the final time. So there are several drivers in this category that we do really need to keep an eye on. Connor Scarisbrick from Ormskirk did one of the most desperate last lap lunges on both George Davison and Jacob Ashcroft. If you ever picked up the audio commentary I provided, Connor Scarisbrick did a great interview with me at the early part of the weekend, but then nearly took my voice from my vocal cords. I was speechless after that one. My octane, the adrenaline went through my veins, my octaves went up, and my volume went up. And who knows what could happen here this weekend, as the Bambino IAME contingent are about to get their respective categories, their respective campaigns underway for the O plate. Of course, there is a title to decide at the end of the season after 10 rounds, with the best of 8 scores going through towards their. So Joe Lewis is another one that we need to keep an eye on, but this is our first heat of 4 for the Bambino IAMEs, and it is AVB. So Riley Wright is in there as well, number 79. George Davison, the 45. Jacob Ashcroft's in this one, the youngster, sponsored by Laser Tools, who sponsor Aidan Moffat in the British Touring Car Championship. Logan Howes coming into shot there from Norwich, sponsored by PowerMax as well. And we also have, looks like, I'm wondering, I'm just keeping an eye on the timing screen. So we've got Taj Buckley, who is the Irish champion, has come over to Cumbria to try and stake a claim. Ralphie Reeves, the number 14. And there's been a development since Houghton Park, because I can tell you this, the number 77 of Bethany Freeman from Bedfordshire is also now under the Stilp Academy by Team Hard backing. So here we go. It's race 6. It's going to be heat number 1, AVB. Here's your starting grid for the first race of 4. So Riley Cranham starts on the front row. Alongside him will be Taj Buckley. Then we've got Jacob Ashcroft and George Davison. Expect fireworks between these two. Ashcroft and Davison were in contention for that overall A final win, but I tell you what, great job by Connor Scarisbrick. We'll see him a little bit later on. Then we've got Jack Fowler and Henry Domain rounding out the third row of the grid. Then it's Thomas Clark and Mason Thurlow. Mason celebrated his 7th birthday yesterday, and his dad James was in action in the dad's race last night. So go to Downforce UK, head to downforceracing.uk. You've got Fraser Anderson and Jacob Giblett-Lee rounding out the top 10, as they're waiting for the final couple of carts to come onto position. Then we've got Riley Wright and Poppy Thomas. Poppy from Llanwrda, not too far from where we have been previously. Obviously, we're going to Llanigorus later on this year. Logan Howes and Senna Blue Breslin will start on 13th and 14th, respectively. And rounding out the 15 strong will be Ralphie Reeves down in 15th position. Ralphie's best time was 1 minute 11.713. So we have 8 minutes plus an additional lap to go brilliant sunshine here in Cumbria, and it's so glad to see that after the low-lying hefty fog we had this morning with temperatures around the sub-10 degree barrier, it's great to see that the temperature is rising around us here, and we're not too, it's great to see this wonderful Cumbrian countryside from where I'm standing over here on the cliff just off of Iredales. So red lights are on. Momentarily, so we've got all the dads in person. So we've got on the left of the screen Riley Cranham, right of the screen Taj Buckley. Then you've got Jacob Ashcroft and George Davison. And you've got Jack Fowler and Henry Domain. That's your top 6. So we have 8 minutes plus an additional lap, and lights are out, and we are racing. Oh, bit of a bad getaway for George Davison, it looks like, as the leaders now go up into turn number 1 for the very first time, and Jacob Ashcroft now up into 3rd place, and leading the way it is Taj Buckley, it looks to be, with right behind him Riley Cranham as they go into McRae's for the first time, and Jacob Ashcroft, and also the number 50 of Fraser Anderson from Scotland. Fraser Anderson is a very hard charger, so watch out for him as well. Then you've got Jack Fowler in the 99 in 6th place, and as a result of that really bad getaway for George Davison, who started on road number 2, great move there by Fraser Anderson to slingshot pass through the stewardesses past Fraser Anderson. Well, Fraser Anderson getting past Jacob Ashcroft, and there's a move for 2nd already. So leaders now coming through into Paddock Bend. So it's Taj Buckley leading from Riley Cranham. George Davison looks to be right at the, looks like George's efforts this today, well, it looks like George Davison is actually in 2nd, Fraser Anderson in 3rd. So just keeping an eye on the timing screens as they refresh. 6 minutes and 42 plus an additional lap to go. So I don't know if there might be an issue with Riley Cranham's transponder, because he is actually side by side, and he slingshots past Taj Buckley going into Iredales there. So down the back straight, heading down towards the stewardesses. Let's keep an eye on these two at the moment. So now it's a really nice quick momentum shift here into the stewardesses. So it's a right, then it's a left, then it's a right again, and then it's a short blast down to the quick right-hander at St John's. Now it then comes down into Sunny Bend as there's more movements happening up and down the field as they come into shot. Round into Paddock Bend come the leaders as Fraser Anderson is close on the back bumper of Jacob Ashcroft as they come through Paddock, and it's nearly side by side, but Ashcroft is still ahead for the moment. 5 minutes 47 seconds plus an additional lap. And Riley Cranham is leading from Taj Buckley and is pulling a gap as there is a great battle as, oh my goodness, there's a bit of side barging there between Fraser Anderson and George Davison there. Jacob Ashcroft now slots into what is 5th on the track as they come through Iredales. And Fraser Anderson is trying to pounce when it gives him the opportunity. And there is a contact warning there for Fraser Anderson on Jacob Ashcroft as the trio now come through the stewardesses. Wider line taken by Fraser Anderson, but I'll tell you what, George Davison is really keeping it nice and tight coming through those corners. And George Davison, I think, is very, very smooth and very concise in his steering inputs, whereas some of these IAME drivers might have a bit more, be a bit more wayward as Fraser Anderson goes up the inside, goes past George Davison into Paddock Bend. Well read that as George Davison is right on the back. It's side-by-side drag race into the chicane. Davison's got the inside line and retakes 3rd. Nice clean moving between the pair of them as they come through the chicane, and looks like Anderson gets a better hole shot, but look at this. Closing on them is both Thomas Clark and Jack Fowler. So this is going to be a really great battle for what is 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, being led by Davison for the moment. So Fraser Anderson still has time. He has just over 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go. So we're getting some... So with regards to it, it's... So it's still George Davison leading the train for third position. It's not the Trulli train, it's the Davison train. And he just took too long of a glance over his right shoulder, and Fraser Anderson just pounces like a tiger waiting in the weeds, as Jacob Ashcroft is also trying to think, can I get past him as well? The quintet now come through the chicane. So we've had quite a few comments coming through on the social feed at the moment. Laura Wolf said, come on, George. Well done, Jack McLaughlin from Ireland. But first time at a BKC event. And he's really enjoying it. The live coverage is great. Thank you very much. Great to see Bambinos racing from Bod Cole on YouTube. Nikki Carroll says, come on, Taj. One to watch. Come on, George Davison. And as you can see, Davison is back on the fighting trail against Fraser Anderson as they've come through the stewardesses. So continuing to lead. Now, when the leader is starting to get away, you don't really talk about him. That is true of Riley Cranham as he comes into shot, down Paddock Bend, into the chicane. He's got a big gap on Taj Buckley to the tune of now 2.1 seconds. We have 2 minutes 48 plus an additional lap. And now it's the quintet behind. So we're just going to... So 18, which is Riley Cranham, still continues to lead this race as the quintet, and there hasn't been any changes for position. Well, there will be in a second. Great move by Fraser Anderson to go up into third, goes a bit wide there, and Jacob Ashcroft, it's 3 abreast coming down the straight, heading down towards Iredales. This is exciting to watch, my goodness. And it goes back to order resumed. Fraser Anderson ahead of George Davison with the 22 of Jacob Ashcroft. Then you've got Thomas Clark and Jack Fowler, and Ashcroft is looking over his left and right shoulder as George Davison goes back up the inside of Fraser Anderson to retake third position into the stewardesses, taking that tidal line. Let's keep an eye on these guys for a moment. So they're now heading down the other back straight as Fraser Anderson is trying to pounce again, and that's actually has to hold back going through St John's into Sunny Bend. And now they're going to come around Paddock. 1 minute 46 on the clock, top 5 at the moment. Riley Cranham leads from Taj Buckley by 2.8 seconds. Now it's George Davison back into third place. Fraser Anderson in fourth, Jacob Ashcroft in fifth. Jack Fowler now up into sixth position. And looks like George Davison has actually got some breathing space to the tune of about 4 to 5 cart lengths from Fraser Anderson, who goes very wide coming out of McRae's, as does Jack Fowler a little bit. So, still, 1 minute 15 on the clock, plus an additional lap. As we've got some really good racing a little bit further down the order as well. Looks like Henry Domain was the one that actually got that really bad getaway. I thought it was 45, it was actually 65. As Poppy Thomas is trying to fend off the advances of Norwich's Logan Howes, Little Wolverine as he's been nicknamed by myself and his family. That's for 12th position. So this is one of the battles we need to watch. They're coming past Ralphie Reeves. So Ralphie is doing the right thing and staying out of the way as Jacob Ashcroft swoops past, as do the pair of Jack Fowler and Thomas Clark. So last lap board is out. Let's catch up with the leader, Riley Cranham. So it's still, this battle for third place is still carrying on unabated. So Riley Cranham is now heading down into St John's for the final time. So through Sunny Bend for the final time comes the number 18 of Riley Cranham. So last lap board is actually being prepared now. So Riley Cranham comes across the start-finish line to start on his final lap. Lap number 9. Oh, well, it's actually, I think they have actually called it a finish there. So Riley Cranham takes the race win. Meanwhile, the battle for third position is still on. It's going to be a drag race to the finish, I think. Well, not quite, because George Davison has got the legs. And he takes it from Fraser Anderson by literally just over a tenth of a second. Jacob Ashcroft rounds out the top 5. Now, it looks like the timing has got an issue, so apologies for that. So the battle for third is still carrying on, and right, so here we go. This is the one that we need to keep an eye on. Jack Fowler is actually leading that. Well, I don't know if it's Thomas Clark, but Riley Cranham is now coming around the final corner. Checker flag waves to the number 18 from Ormskirk. Riley Cranham takes the first IAME Bambino heat win. Second going to Taj Buckley from Ireland, the Irish champion, takes second. Now here we go, through Sunny Bend for the final time come the gaggle that are screaming over third position, and George Davison lost out. Jack Fowler's now in third. Jack Fowler in the 99 has come out of nowhere and takes third position. So George Davison finishes in fourth place. Fraser Anderson looks to be a little bit further down that order as well. So Jacob Ashcroft in fifth place. Looks to be Thomas, I couldn't really make it, I think it was Thomas Clark that finished in fifth or sixth position there. Apologies for that, we had a slight issue with the timing. Last that board was signalled, but then the timing decided to say to us that it had finished the race, so I'll try and do my best on this one. So Riley Cranham takes the opening IAME Bambino heat win of the 2018 third round of the 2018 BKC Championship here at Rowrah, ahead of Taj Buckley from Ireland, who's the Irish champion. And it was Jack Fowler that took third, ahead of George Davison, with Jacob Ashcroft finishing in fifth place. And I think that you probably would have had Jack Fowler, Henry Domain were in that mix as well. So what a great way to kick off the Bambino action with AVB. We'll have our next heat a little bit later on this morning.